Oh, here's a poem of mine. O slippery small fish, who, like the soul, doth glide so fluid that a swim the morning tide, laid deep and cool in the mid-forenoon by equator or tidal pool, thou resteth there, and then the moon doth lead thee right. O fish, fly with me there tonight. Leave water, even air, all depthy set behind, and come back full around that moon in time for daybreak. O fish, will you this promise make? Poetry's like painting. I think it evokes sort of vital images and combines imagery via words. And a lot of times words put an image very vividly in your mind, and that's quite wonderful. Art has to take you someplace you haven't been before in a way that you weren't expecting. There's the element of surprise. Well, surprise visually, but also surprise in terms of what you finally make of it. It should give you a jolt, you know? Art should give you a jolt. Art's a huge spectrum, too. There's everything from people making things with their own hands and their own minds, and that's very, very important. People are making things that are very, very popular and at the top of the pile in the art world, you know. It's all part of the same importance of people being creative and sort of mining their own imaginations and finding out what they don't know. You make something and you find out something you didn't know about yourself or the world suddenly, and that's the joy of it, you know. There's people in that drawing. Can you see them? Or you may be able to catch them. I'm not going to tell you. People gravitate to the arts. People gravitate to creativity. It doesn't take much for people to realize, oh, I like doing this. I think that's where it starts. Oh, I like doing this. I can do this. Because a lot of people feel I can't. You know, there's a lot of I can't in the world. And so if you can make I can happen, yeah, it's a big deal. I grew up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, out in western Pennsylvania. And as a kid, me and my friend Mike, we decided we were going to become architects. Out of where? Out of what blue note? I have no idea. But Mike said to me, I'm going to be an architect. And I go, well, that sounds good to me. I'm going to do that too. So applied to the University of Pennsylvania, started the architecture program. I had no idea. Just like design a building. To me, that was like, design a cool building. Frank Lloyd Wright. You know, that sounds like fun. The second year was when the program really started. And it started with majorly drawing course with Neil Welliver. Fortunately, he came down from Yale every 2 weeks, and it was only pen and ink. There was no erasure. You had to see it and you had to do it. And stroke was his big thing. So you had to figure out how the rhythm of windows going into space, you had to figure out how to conceive this and then project that through a pen onto a paper, and many, many, many months of mistakes. We would sit around in a figure drawing studio with a big, you know, model stand, and all of us young people sitting around with sketchbooks, so we were supposed to draw and then throw down your sketchbook. You throw down a sketchbook, and then he'd give you a crit. Then as somebody kind of like got it, Neil would say, okay, you got it. I want you to go out and draw for a month, and they'll see you after that, 2 months or whatever, something. So he was like, oh, I got to get to that place. I got to get to that place. So finally, I got it. And I figured out how to draw like that. I don't think I can draw. I don't have to erase anything, worry about mistakes, just sort of see it and do it. And that was huge for me. That was like, it really was a monstrous step in being able to visualize what I wanted to, anything I wanted to visualize. And then, my girlfriend at the time was going to Tyler School of Art in Philadelphia, and I took a year off because architecture school didn't really agree with me at all. I just dropped out, and And she said, you know, you should go to art school. You're a really good draftsman. You should go to art school. So I applied to the Pennsylvania Academy, got in as a sculpture major, and I went through 4 years as a sculpture major. And yeah, and that's kind of how I got going. When I was in art school and all that stuff, you got these fabulous, internationally known artists coming to critique your work, you know, and have conversations and eat dinner and breakfast with them and stuff, you know, go to their studios. And this kind of intimacy that's quite wonderful. So having gone to the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts and then Skowhegan, I was like, I really would like to bring that kind of quality of art to this rural area. So that's how it all began at Waterfall, as a summer program. Mike Hurley, then the mayor of Belfast, he said, Governor Anderson's school is up for sale. The school district wants to get rid of it. It's not accessible. It can't be made accessible at all easily. Maybe you guys should buy it. So we went with it. And so that allowed us to have year-round arts and culture delivery in Belfast, which hadn't been the case, and to use this old, beautiful but problematic school building. And that's sort of like how it happened. At Waterfall, there were times early on in Belfast where parents would bring kids, and then they'd had no contact with the arts as makers or as even viewers or anything like that. And people would come to the door and say, do I have to pay to get in here? Is it okay to come in? It's like, absolutely, come in. So to cut across that line, I'd be like, you can't, you can. It's there for everybody. You're all in. We're all in that creative spectrum. We're all, if you want to be, you don't have to be, but if you want to be, you can be. And I guess that's kind of my thing with Waterfall, was to make it so that more people realized that they had that capacity. It wasn't, closed off to them at all. They just hadn't, looked into it very much. I'm so proud of it. I think, youth is in us all, really. And the spirit of play is so important. Did you see the people in there yet? Yeah, they're way back there. There's a couple. Maybe one of them is kind of a fawn, possibly. I have a 7-year-old granddaughter. She's wonderful. She makes these gorgeous drawings. She's very free, and I think a lot of young people are quite free with their creativity. They don't. And then there's a point also in school where sort of value judgments occur, whether or not they are intended to be negative towards people's creativity. Oftentimes they are. So that creates a break, and people think like, oh, I can't even draw a straight line. I've never been able to draw a circle. Hello, what? So? What does that matter? I mean, it's absolutely not part of the. I'm glad you can't draw a circle, because the circle you can draw is better than the one that you would do with the freaking compass, And a lot of people feel that perfection is the goal, and it's not. I'll go to a certain point with something, and then I often get distracted or interrupted. Something might happen in life in general. You might say that I'm easily distracted. You might put it that way. I'll make something for a while and I think, well, this isn't any good. That happens, and then I think, I'll try this. And then I do that for a while. It looks pretty good. And then I get all gnarled up about something. Did ever happen to you? Yeah, get gnarled up about it. No, never. No. And then you think, oh shit, why am I doing this? But that looks better. I can do that. Oh, I can do these little figures now. Okay. This was once just a blob of black casein on this prepared paper. So here's a nice piece of paper with Gilder's varnish on it. And then the trick is to find the image for that. And so this looks like there's some kind of evil guy grabbing a woman who wants to get away. Okay, there's a figure, there's a head. Okay, let's see, what are they doing? What's happening there? And that's the way that one happened too, the long one. It turned into a little drama about fertility or something. So I like doing that. I like sort of finding images because it's fun. Simply. Don't ask me what it means. I don't know. There's a guy's holding a turtle up, and he's holding a persimmon or an apple, and maybe he's going to eat the turtle once the turtle eats the persimmon or whatever it is. I don't know. And is this a person? What is that? And here's a vessel of some sort. I don't know any more than you do, really. So the flags, I drive along the highway, and then so while I'm driving along, I'll draw something without looking at it, and then come back later. Driving? Yes, sir. I've got like tons and tons of little tiny sketches of flags, and that's where I'm working from those. People who put flags out in front of their places, some of the flags hang nice and straight. You know, they're a nice rectangle. The symbol is perfect symbol. Now, some of those people feel like me. That's my flag too. Some of those people are like, no, it's my flag and it's not your flag. Well, I don't like that. And then there are other people who put flags out and then they forget about them. The wind comes, they tear, they fray, they wrap around themselves, and they're completely ignored. The United States is a tangled wreck right now, and I want to sort of express that with these tangled up, beat up, disgusting flags and push it back in the faces of the people who are trying to tell me that they have the real line on what this country is. It's not a perfect country, but hey. So that's what I'm sort of doing now. And then there's that painting that's half done there. I had this friend, sort of mentor, Theodore Zaboter. During the course of his life, he made like 50,000 works of art. The guy was fabulous. Anyway, that was one of his canvases, which was just covered with charcoal scratchings, and so just the very beginnings of an image. And so I put it up on the wall, and I'm sort of fussing around with it. And look at this sort of weird landscape with a figure kind of wandering in the wilderness. I mean, I don't know. That's what sort of came out. So that's unlike anything I do. And so I sort of feel like maybe I'm channeling Ted a little bit here. So anyway, he was a wonderful, cranky guy. Enormously productive artist, and I have these canvases, and it's kind of like these things, This is like my father's blueprints from 100 years ago, and I'm making something out of somebody else's thing, and I'm changing it and seeing what communicates to me about this raw material. Then I'm making just these figures. My dad was born in 1882, so he died at the age of 70 when I was 6 years old. Yeah. I'd never been able to do anything but roll them up and put them in a tube. And I thought, no, I can cut these things up and make things out of them. So it's nice to take the past and bring it to the present. If you're making something right out of your own heart and spirit, whatnot, you're making something that's, it's alive. So it has life, and, it has the same kind of forever life that, you look at, Stone Age things, they have life, and they're thousands and 10, 50,000 years old, and they still have life. So I think that's kind of what artists bring to the world, is that sense of, like I said earlier, surprise and delight and joy and truth, and that kind of thing is important. So anybody who's making stuff like that, I think is exciting. if you're going to be an artist, it seems like that's going to be the point of contact that's going to relate to other people, basically, is your body, your eyes, your hands, your conceptions, you know, in real time, connecting with somebody else in real time. I don't think that's going to go away. The digital world is this total immersion. It takes you away from relations. And in one way or another, there's a control factor that is run on you when you're in that universe. You're kind of like, it's your own algorithm. It's, you know, what you like, then other things come in that you like, and pretty soon you're in a narrowing world rather than an expanding world. And it seems to me, as humans, we should develop expanding worlds of freedom and expression and cooperation and love. And, you know, you want people to respond to something that completely frees them from all the bullshit. Not just appearance, not just random fallen beauty, petals of rose, veins of stone, not just observation, crystal sharp, creased by light, but love, story, heart, cliche, sentiment, foolish and cute, feeling, plain and deep, bald opinion, ridiculous, pained, vulnerable, sad, idiotic, mockable, true, all true, more truth than sight, deeper than night.
This video is sponsored by Center for Maine Contemporary Art's Virtual Look Inside Educators Portal, made possible by the Sherman Family Foundation and KHR McNeely Family Foundation, the Dorothea and Leo Rapkin Foundation, and our generous viewers.